recommended for goats? Are they available on the market? If so.
Wait, okay. Vaccines, they are the main vaccines each farmer should consider of. There is a vaccine that destroys Clostridial infections. Clostridial, C-L-O-S-T-R-I-D-I-A-L-S, Clostridial infections. Basically, it is a cocktail of so many infections. That this one, whether what or what, this is a vaccine you should never miss. One, when you don't vaccinate your goats against Clostridial infections, you risk having your babies born and they die within 1 week or less because they are weak. The mothers have miscarriages. You have babies that are born that they never make it to their next second month birthday because they are weak. Or during the rainy season, you find them succumbing to infections like black quarter. Black quarter, this is an infection that attacks the goat, and it has a lot of pus in the goat, like in the thigh, and there's nothing you can do. The best you can do is to cull it off, kill it, and bury it. So to avoid all these, Clostridial infections is number one. Number two, something we never used to take into consideration is PPR stroke goat pox. Goat pox actually has become, I think it has become like the second killer. That when it comes to your farm, it usually disappears in the rainy season, but it comes mostly in the dry season, especially the pox. But the advantage that we are having now, the people who are bringing these vaccines for us, they have combined, because now the vaccines are becoming so many. So they have combined like one vaccine and they put another vaccine that kills the same infection. For example, PPR, where you find your goats are having lots and lots of flu, yellow mucus coming out. Others are having diarrhea. They slim, just like how you see an HIV. The HIV we used to have in the 80s. That is how a goat with PPR looks like. And when it comes in your area, for example, if for us I'm in Rakai, if they tell you PPR is in Liantondi, don't wait for it to come to Rakai. And if the rain, prior to the rainy season coming, please ensure you vaccinate against PPR. So that is number two. Number three is caprine pneumonia. CCPP. These three, Clostridial, PPR, stroke pox, then caprine pneumonia. There are also others like brucella and also ORF, which attack especially the babies. Okay. But these three are the major ones. And somebody may ask, before I conclude on this, somebody may ask, do we vaccinate all at once? No, you cannot vaccinate all at once.
Actually, you're answering the next question.
Hey.
It came from Soloya, who said, "Hi Grace, please share the vaccination schedule." Okay. So just briefly, let's share that vaccination schedule.
Okay. So if you are to vaccinate, make a plan, make a small plan. Farming is all planning. Let's do away with the other farming we used to do. Now let's farm with a purpose. For example, prior, our rain started they started in September, right?
September.
So prior to September starting, you should have started your vaccination at least in June. So after 3 weeks, kubaho vaccine endala. And also some of these vaccines, they ask you to give booster doses, for example, Clostridials. So if you are vaccinated on 1st June, Clostridials, after 21 days, give another booster dose of Clostridials. Then you wait another 3 weeks, you add the PPR, stroke pox. You wait another 3 weeks, you give CCP. So this is planned. You cannot give all of them at once. You will kill the goat. Remember, these are live germs you are introducing to a goat's body. So if you give them to them concurrently, exactly.
How many vaccines are there?
The major ones are 3, but they are like 5. But the majors that one should not miss: Clostridials, PPR, stroke pox, and then CCPP, caprine pneumonia.
When to take the vaccine. Okay. Anonymous attendee said, "How do I avoid frequent thefts of goats at my farm?" It's a generic one.
I know.
Can just make mention in 1 second.
Okay. How do I avoid goat thefts on your farm? Usually what I realized, these thefts occur in many numbers or in ways you never expect. Number one, if your workers at the farm realize you are an absentee farmer, you spend like 3 months, Babies were the goats gave birth to the goats in June. For you are coming to visit in what? In September. You get it? So what would have happened? And then also some of the thefts that I've seen on people's farms, they sell the babies. The babies are sold to farmers outside. For example, you're having a very good genes on your farm. They'll pass through the workers you're underpaying. And then they buy those breeds. They buy the breeds from the workers. Also, for example, my thefts used to happen by the workers, and also they used to happen in the fields when the goats are grazing. I used to have so many people coming in to graze their animals at our farm. So when they come in to graze, it means my animals will end up in their goats, and then they end up going outside the farm. So I chased out the people who are grazing from my goats. That finding you, I find you, eventually they reduced. That is one thing. That is one hard decision. Number two, at mine, I separated the goats. I have over 800 goats. So I separated them into smaller units, manageable. Each person is managing between 150, two people are managing 150 to 200 goats. And we have 3 herds. You get it? So I make sure on a daily basis, unless it has rained or unless that person is sick, I make sure that they do stock taking every time the goats come in on a daily basis. So if a goat is missing, tukubuze mbuzi ziliwa. So either you have to go back in the field and look for those goats, or very early in the morning, you go back and look for those goats. Also, some people have started having cameras on their farms. You can easily know what is going on. And then there is also used to be a loophole of where somebody tells you, Madam, mbuzi zafudde. But in actual sense, the goat was sold or was eaten. So me, you never tell me a goat has died. I bought smartphones. Those stories. And also frequent...
So I think the issue of goat thefts, the most catching one is that you don't need to be a frequent absentee. If you want to get your value, always try to make sure that you are present at your farm oftenly. Grace, I have so many questions and I want to quickly go through all of them. I have another friend of mine with whom we are members on the URA circle. He's the vice chair, Mr. Chivirige Anthony, and he's asking, hello, I have not heard much about the particular feeds to be given to the goats. Can you kindly elaborate on this? Further, I know goats feed much on tree leaves. Would this apply to any type of fruit tree? Kindly.
Okay. When you want to feed your goats, ensure on your farm you know what a carbohydrate source is and a protein source is. So basically, 50% should be carbohydrates, and then the other 40% are proteins, and the 10% are the mineral salts. Are we together? So how do you know the carbohydrate sources to plant on your farm or that are already on your farm? For example, the team that came last year at the farm, I don't usually plant a number of feeds, but we have in my compound where the training was, that was a feeding ground for my goats. There was star grass. Some of us, we call it caliandra. Caliandra is a great protein source. So protein sources, people have planted Napier grass. This is visagazi. There are several visagazi being sold by agricultural centers all over Uganda, even fellow farmers. There is bracharia. There are a number of feeds. So all you have to do is go to those shops and ask for a protein source and a carbohydrate source. And then the carbohydrate sources, these are usually shrub trees. For example, I mentioned mululuza. This is bitter leaf. I mentioned the caliandra. For us in my village, they call it kawomerambuzi. I don't know why they call it kawomerambuzi. I think the goats love it so much. We have several other cassia plants. There is Lucerne. There are quite a number of them. All you have to do is to go to the right people. But the challenges we are having right now, we are having people who are there to make money irrespective of feeding for the farmer who's buying seeds. And these seeds are quite expensive. So if you are looking for seeds to buy, ask us. We know people we have tested for quite a number of years. Yes, goats feed. He mentioned that goats feed only on tree what? On tree shrubs. Goats feed on anything you avail to them, but they work so much best if you are feeding them on shrubs, because they are majorly browsers. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace. This one, she's a lady. She deals in both the cattle and the sheep. And she's a very pertinent farmer, breeder. Miss Rita Tosobida. She's asking, how do you handle young kids with the feeding? For example, if a mother has little milk.
In incidences where a mother has no milk or it has no milk at all, we usually improvise. Sometimes you get the mother which has a kid that was born in the same time frame as that baby, you foster. Okitegedde? Noddira akaana k'embuzi eri bakazaddemu eyo wiiki n'eri embuzi erina akaana kamu, the first week nobeera ng'okakwatya ne kayonka. That is one. Fostering, foster motherhood. Yeah. Number two, you may use dilute milk for cows. You dilute, for example, if it is a liter, you put in 1 liter of milk, of water, and you boil that water, you give it to the goats when it's warm. Because if you don't warm it, it means you are introducing all the germs from the cow to the baby goat.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a thing clear, Rita. Foster feeding. Miss Boji, again from Anonymous, please share the number to contact you. The Airtel number 0702850600 is never picked. I don't know whether that is an office line or your personal line. But I think it's okay. You go ahead and share the number. Yes. Okay, it is still 702 850 600. This is where I said the lack of planning. It's the number that Anonymous is saying you never pick.
Okay, I think.
Don't you do WhatsApp? You know,
yeah, I do actually. I prefer WhatsApp, but sometimes I reply at awkward hours because right now I have over 1,000 WhatsApp messages.
Anonymous certainly says, how many males can one keep in a farm of 50 goats?
Okay. 50 goats, that is 1 male. But don't try it in human beings. 1 male can stay in 50 females, but usually these males, okay, they can service, but basically on a daily basis, 1 male can service 4 females. So after 30 minutes, 30 days, but sometimes they sleep on the job and you want them to work. So you can put in like a young male with a high libido. They make a lot of noise to give them the momentum.
Okay. I think I have ably exhausted all the questions that have come in. If you are choosing to venture into this goat keeping, into this kind of business, make it part of you so that you feel what you're going to do, so that you are able to do the planning, you are able to do the research. And I'm sure with people like Kaboji and there's so many others that you've mentioned, we have the consultants. So I close up the show.
Okay. I understand most of us who are watching me, some of them are planning to retire, or maybe they have the idea of retirement at any one given time. My advice to you, if you are about to retire or not yet to retire, don't wait to retire and then invest in this agribusiness stuff. You'll burn all your money and then you start calling us motivational speakers. Plan at least 5 years prior to your retirement so that you have room to make mistakes. I, for one, I made mistakes. Even you'll make those mistakes. But when you don't have room to make those mistakes because you didn't start early, it pains, you burn lots and lots of money, and you are easily cheated by so many people out there in the field. And then lastly, we have a drive where we are asking farmers we are mobilizing farmers for us to add resources and be able to bring in these South African goods from South Africa. Please, my number is going to be on. In case I have not picked your calls, just WhatsApp me. This thing, I cannot do it as an individual. We can do it as a group. Usually I get between 10 to 15 farmers. Even if you want 1 male or 1 female, we can always bring in these goats. And that's all, and I'm always available for consultation. Come and visit us. We interact more about goat farming in particular. And right now I want to be among the best coffee farmers in Uganda. I always strive to be among the best. These things are doable, especially if you have passion for them.